Don't we all need a break from our home cinema from time to time and explore something else? If you're one of those people trying to get into the Pakistani cinema in particular but are lost as to where to begin, don't worry, we've got you covered. Hello guys, welcome to Filmanter, and for today's list, we'll be taking a look at some of Pakistan's most essential viewings specifically for our Indian audience. For this list, we'll be counting down movies based on how our Indian viewers might get to enjoy the full experience of their neighboring counterpart, and yes, that means this is not a list of the best Pakistani movies, period. Before we begin, as always, please make sure to subscribe to Filmanter if you haven't already, and press the bell icon to never miss an update. With that out of the way, this is Amir, and here are 10 Pakistani movies Indians should watch. Number 10. Teefa In Trouble. Hey, if our intro wasn't enough, let this be a reminder that this list is not counting down the best of Pakistan, but more like a guide for our Indian friends. And what better way to start exploring the Pakistani cinema than a movie that somewhat resembles any commercial Bollywood movie, stars familiar faces, is shot in Europe for quite a chunk, and features some great music. One of the highest grossers in the country's history, the Ali Zafar and Maya Ali starrer sees a local Lahori goon Teefa getting tasked with abducting a Polish gangster's daughter Anya for another gangster back in Lahore. It follows the same structure as you would imagine any commercial movie to follow, in that some action takes place, there's a lot of chasing around the streets of Lahore and Warsaw, and of course, there's the love bit too. But what Teefa In Trouble does is introduce our non-Pakistani friends to the Pakistani linguistic while keeping everything else familiar, making this movie a great first step when beginning to explore the neighboring cinema. Number 9. Karachi Salahur. Okay, now that you've watched Teefa, or at least we hope so, you're somewhat familiar with the vernacular. What you need now is an introduction to the geography of the neighboring country, and what better way to do that than a hilarious road trip movie that doesn't take itself seriously at all and even breaks that coveted fourth wall every here and there. Karachi Salahur starts off in Karachi, where our protagonist Zaheem works in a bank and is following a very regular life until he's told about his girlfriend's upcoming marriage in Lahore. From that point onwards, he sets on a trip to Lahore with his quirky friends and a skeptical neighbor to somehow stop the wedding from taking place. Since Lahore and Karachi are quite apart geographically, the young travelers come across several types of people throughout the trip, with the movie not shying away from taking jabs at various regional stereotypes ranging from Sindhis to Pathans to the good old Punjabis as they move from one place to the other. It's a harmless comedy at the end of the day, which has an equally entertaining spin-off sequel as well. Number 8. Namal Mafra. Now you're familiar with the linguistic and somewhat understand the geography and the regional dialects too. Let's dump in the content now. Namal Mafra takes place within the busy metropolis of Sadr Karachi and sees our three protagonists go through a world of financial crisis that lead them to turn towards the wrong side. Although a comedy in itself by nature, Namal Mafra doesn't shy away from depicting a dark premise where anyone can die at any time, people struggle to afford their basic living, and buildings can literally be demolished in a violent strike. Think of it as a dark comedy. It's a movie crafted from the same cloth as Delhi Belly or maybe C Company to give you a reference point. Released at a time when Karachi was plagued with unidentified crimes, the film borrows its name from the increasingly popular title given by the local media to these unidentified criminals, Namal Mafra. Casting Javed Sheikh, Fahad Mustafa and Mohsin Abbas Haider in the lead, Namal Mafra is an equal part an emotional ride as it is an over-the-top thriller. It gets you hooked right from the start and never lets go. Oh, and it too has a successive part that you can watch later. Number 7. Manjaha. Staying within Karachi for at least one more consecutive entry, and we have to talk about Manjaha. You've already seen the more thrilling cutthroat side of the city in Namal Mafra. Now get a chance to see the more vibrant, youthful side of it, told in a story revolving around three university friends Nadir, Manize and Arhan, who get a chance to pursue their passion in music after graduation, but things naturally start falling apart due to various reasons. It's a coming-of-age urban story that is both relatable and not too unique in terms of story, but the way it was executed, connecting with how the different facets of society and family structures in Pakistan operate, did not allow the viewers to think cliché even once. All three of the friends coming from distinct backgrounds, Manjaha talked about how that very fact can influence one's education, professional aspirations, and family expectations. It's an all-round movie and an essential watch for Indians who particularly hunt for films in this genre. Number 6. Cake. Cake is a slow burn. So right off the bat, it's a movie that doesn't have a universal appeal. It may come across very simplistic, but think of it as a midpoint between Kapoor and Sons and October. It's a family drama told in a very realistic manner. The character experiences are very real and organic, and there's generally a lack of dramatic background score to make the audience feel a certain way. Cake is a story of an estranged family, which sees a tense reunion when the younger daughter Zara returns from London due to their father's illness. The elder Zareen, however, is shown to be the one who took up all the personal and financial responsibilities of the family back in Pakistan, but is dealing with her own internal conflicts and years of pent-up stress. Talking about love, loss, passage of time, and with strong and real female characters portrayed by Sanam Saeed and Amina Sheikh, Cake ended up being quietly revolutionary upon its release and appealed to a worldwide audience, with its premiere being held at the notorious Leicester Square, London, and the film becoming the nation's official entry to the 91st Academy Awards. Number 5. Dhobara Pire. This is a romance drama set in the US and focuses on the lives of a few overseas Pakistanis, or as Indians like to call it, NRIs, or NRPs, since they're Pakistanis, but not really Pakistanis, NRPs. Anyways, the film story revolves around Zainab, a divorced Pakistani woman based in New York City who meets an ambitious Hamad and explores their relationship and eventual challenges as they begin to grow feelings for each other. Dhobara Pire features a very practical approach to relationships, which is exactly why, although being a romance itself, the movie doesn't really feel like a love story at all. It's more like a story about love, if that makes any sense. Its mature take on relationships is exactly what sets this film apart from the abundant other Pakistani and Indian films in the same category. Characters have several things going on in their lives, and romantic relationships are all but one part of it. Casting Adil Hussain and Harim Farooq in the lead, alongside Sanam Saeed, Ali Kazmi and Tuba Siddiqui in support, the movie is an essential watch for viewers looking for an out from the traditionally represented cartoonish or even toxic relationships in movies. Number 4. Bol. Okay, you've already seen the brighter, more vibrant side of the Pakistani culture as part of all the movies to this point, which means that you're now equipped to go through some of the more serious stuff. Cue Bol. The movie that saw a widespread release in the neighboring India due to the same director's earlier work, more on that later, was a brilliantly topical and thought-provoking venture that highlighted the social and financial travails of a lower middle-class family in Lahore, which struggles with severe poverty, religious orthodoxy, and the stranglehold of a deep-rooted patriarchy. Boldly calling out everything that's wrong with the regressive Pakistani mindset that's still present in many facets of the society even to this day, the social drama was only bumped up a notch by the terrific performances by its two leads, Humaima Malik and Manzar Sehbai, alongside the much talked about acting debuts of Mahira Khan and Atif Aslam. Watch Bol if you haven't already, and you'll know what it means to be fascinated and spellbound both at the same time. Number 3. War. If both of Shoaib Mansoor's films earlier sparked a resurgence of the dying Pakistani film industry, it was War in 2013 that was touted as the revolutionary film that single-handedly elevated the local cinema and paved way for the tons of movies that followed. Featuring unprecedented set designs, cinematography, and background score, it was an epic war film. Epic by all sense of imagination. Yes, like any patriotic war film produced either in Pakistan or India, there was the neighbor-bashing propaganda in War 2, but on a scale of Border and Razi, it was definitely more skewed towards the latter. War was a movie that showcased Pakistan's stance on the internal terrorism, something that had not only discredited the nation as a whole globally, but also costed many civilian lives. The movie that was widely regarded as the most anticipated in the country's history, quite immediately upon its release became the highest grosser of all time. And if you can look past the propaganda, War should definitely be on your watch list if you seriously want to get into the Pakistani cinema. Number 2. Jinnah. Continuing the trend of controversial films in this list, let's talk about what is arguably the most controversial film in the country's history, but which is also the most influential film of Pakistan too, or as the late Christopher Lee would put it, his most important film ever. Jinnah was a 1998 epic biographical about the life of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the founder of Pakistan, the turbulences he faced setting the anti-colonial resistance in the Indian subcontinent on a different path than envisioned by Mahatma Gandhi, and an account of his personal life going from advocacy to politics to his personal life and illness. Starring the prolific Christopher Lee in the titular role and having the late great Shashi Kapoor as the film's narrator, Jinnah was a technical masterpiece that sadly never got its due, in large part because of the political rivalry that has been going on between the two nations ever since the partition. It's not too late though. With time, audience in both the countries has matured enough to enjoy art objectively, and we hope it goes the same way for this 1998 biopic too. And number 1. Khuda Ke Liye. So remember when we said how Bol became so popular in India because of Mansoor's previous work? Enter Khuda Ke Liye, the movie that is arguably not only the best piece of cinematic art in the country's history, but also one you should savor for last because of how it connects many domestic and international issues affecting the entire South Asia while having immense importance globally as well, and that we want to be absolute sure that you grasp everything when watching it. Broadly, the film draws comparisons between how at one hand religious fundamentalism can mislead personal interpretation, and on the other, about generalized ostracization of Western Muslims, especially post the 9/11 events, because of the same fundamentalist ideologies. It's a paradox if you think about it, in that one can't exist without the other. And it's told beautifully in a story between two Muslim brothers, and that too through that East versus West cultural mindset that we all can at some level relate to. Speaking of another extremely sensitive and relevant topic of forced marriages as well, Khuda Ke Liye is that one movie not just Indians, but everyone watching this video should treat themselves to. And there you have it guys, 10 Pakistani movies all Indians should watch. Which one of these excites you the most? Let us know in the comment section down below. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe to Filmanter for more such content ahead. With that out of the way, I hope you have a safe week ahead. My name is Amir and I will see you soon.